Welcome back to the DoneDeal YouTube channel. We are here in Barcelona to test drive Citroen's new flagship car. It is the C5X. It's hybrid, this particular version. It's also available in petrol. And in 2023, it will be available in fully electric. So make sure to subscribe to the DoneDeal YouTube channel. If you'd like to search for Citroen's for sale in Ireland, then you can hit the link up there. Now let's get into the review. So, the C5X, what actually is it? Well, it is both a saloon and an SUV, but it's also an estate car. That's what Citroën are claiming, and I'm actually going to throw it in there that I also see a coupe. So it's essentially a jack of all trades, but it's supposed to be a master of the D segment. So that's the kind of area that Citroën are planning to place this in. And to be fair, it is very good, and you have the practicality of the estate where it's a slightly lower entry, which we'll talk about when we check out the boot, but also the slightly higher ride height of an SUV. So what are your options when it comes to underneath the bonnet? Well, the entry level is a 1.2 litre petrol with 130 horsepower. It can also be got with 180 horsepower, and that's what I'd recommend because 130 brake horsepower in this is probably a little bit underpowered. Then you can also get the hybrid system. That's what this is. It's 225 brake horsepower. And what it consists of is a 1.6 litre petrol engine paired with an electric motor and has a battery of about 12.4 kilowatt hours. In terms of pure electric driving, it's claimed to do, or to be able to do, about 55 kilometers. So that's perfect if you live around the city and you just have a bit of a short commute to work. In terms of charging up that battery, well, it charges at 7 kilowatts, which isn't massively fast, but it's quite a small battery. So you're talking 2 hours if you have a wall box. If you don't, on a 3-pin socket, maybe 3.5 hours or so, which is more than enough in the real world. Now, the chances are, if you're looking to buy an estate saloon coupe SUV, you're interested in boot space. So this one is electronically opening. Now, in terms of space, so the ordinary petrol version comes with 545 litres. The hybrid version, it's slightly compromised due to the battery and the electric motor and all that, and it's about 485 litres. So still quite respectable, however, it's definitely not absolutely gigantic. In terms of practicality, it's a really big, open, square shape. You've got a little bit of storage under here, and I really like that you can actually fold the rear seats just at a pull of a lever here, which is very, very handy. And of course, those split in a 40-60 split, so it makes it nice and easy. And that's essentially everything you need to know about the boot space. So let's check out the inside. Now, for space in the rear, when you get in, whoa, you get that first taste of just how comfortable these seats are. I think I read that there's memory foam in them, which is absolutely insane. Knee room, your limousine style here. There's absolutely plenty of room. Headspace is a little bit more kind of restricted. I suspect the panoramic sunroof eats into it a little bit, but it is very comfortable back here. You of course have an armrest here with some drink holders, and worth noting that the ISOFIX points are easily accessible here, just like any Citroen. They're on these little zips, and it's nice and tidy. Now, the Citroen C5X's prized possession, in my opinion, is the cockpit in here. Now, when we go out for a drive, we're going to be talking about how phenomenal the suspension is, but just to talk about the seat, as I said, there's a little bit of memory foam in them, and that combined with the incredible technology in the suspension makes this car infinitely more comfortable than you could ever imagine whilst watching this video. It's push start here. And to talk through the setup, well, basically, let's start with storage. You've got some storage in here. There's also a charge port. Here, there's wireless charging in this. That's an extra, and it depends on your spec. There's a glove box there, which is nice and handy, some drink holders, and as a whole, it is quite practical. Then in terms of the fit and finish, so the entry-level car in Ireland is going to have a 10-inch screen. However, I'd advise upgrading to the 12-inch because it is massive, but it's also really nice to use. The graphics are very, very, very impressive, I have to say. And Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are wireless, so you don't even have to have a little thing to plug in your phone, which is brilliant. The system itself is really cool. The sat nav is really sophisticated. I've used it in the middle of Barcelona on the most stressful drive and it got me through it, so I am grateful for that. There's also a digital display in front of the driver here, and there's this new thing called eHUD, which is a very, very, very large heads-up display. It comes with your sat nav, it has a speed limit, it has all your kind of key information, which is absolutely brilliant. Another thing worth noting is that there is controls for the climate down here, which is brilliant. So basically you don't have to go rooting through your infotainment system looking for it. There is just shortcuts here and it brings the screen up in front of you, which is absolutely brilliant. That's all the talking about in here, so I think it's time we go for a drive. So what's it like to drive? Well, it is incredibly impressive. The ride in here is absolutely phenomenal. It's so smooth, it wafts, and that's the word I'm going to use. It wafts along the road. It's so elegant in the way it takes any little bump, and that's because of that progressive hydraulic cushioning suspension. Now that comes as standard in the hybrid. I think it's an upgrade on the petrol version, but it is really, really impressive. Like, these roads that we're on right now are very, very bumpy, and it probably doesn't even show on the camera. Now, in terms of the powertrain, as we said, this is the hybrid version. It's got over 200 horsepower. Now, when you put your foot down, it does actually pick up very, very well. It's not that heavy because the battery isn't that massive. Another thing that I have to praise Citroën for is how well they've paired the electric motor with the petrol engine, because it really is very smooth. Earlier on I was driving around Barcelona city centre. If you've ever driven there, it's quite a stressful place to drive, and the engine and gearbox and the way it all handled, that was absolutely superb. It really took it in its stride, which was absolutely lovely. Now, this being a hybrid, it has regenerative braking, meaning that it can use the energy of the car slowing down to recoup power. You basically just press B mode down here, and right now I'm going down a hill and you find yourself finding the urge to take your foot off the accelerator because you just kind of want to recoup power where possible. In terms of driving aids, well, it's actually got loads, and right now I'm actually experiencing a really good one. So up here on what's called my eHUD, which is can't be described as anything other than the world's biggest heads-up display, I have my satellite navigation, but most importantly I have my speed limit, and that's really important because here on the sat nav it's telling me that I just drove past the speed camera, so it's almost warning me to slow down. On top of that, it has adaptive cruise control. The lane assist is phenomenal. It will take the bends on a motorway. Obviously you shouldn't take your hands off the steering wheel, but you can. It just adds a level of safety, which is quite important. Blind spot monitoring, it has the full package. Right now I'm driving around a smaller suburban Spanish town, and again, it's really nice in here. There's 4 different modes, everything from pure electric all the way up to sport. I have it in hybrid because that's kind of where it operates most efficiently, and it's absolutely perfect. What I will say is rear visibility isn't fantastic. However, if you're parking in tight spots, there's a really high quality reversing camera. I actually haven't seen that high quality of a reversing camera in quite a while. It's very, very impressive. Another thing to point out as I come out of the suburban village now is when I put my foot down, because of that soft suspension, the car almost does a little bit of a wheelie. And that's, I guess, the trade-off to having that soft suspension is when you go around corners, it does kind of roll into it a little bit. But again, that wafting is just second to none. It's really, really, really smooth. And voila, that is a first drive of the new Citroën C5X. The way this thing glides along the roads, it is absolutely superb. They're coming to Ireland in around July time, and my advice would be go down to your local Citroen dealer. You can check out where it is up there, because you need to go for a test drive and feel it for yourself. Now, in terms of which one do you go for, is it the hybrid, is it the petrol, or do you wait until 2023 for the fully electric version? That's up to you, and it really depends on your driving styles. If you've a short city commute, I'd recommend going maybe for the hybrid. What's more is Citroen have teamed up with an energy partner to get a free home charger installed, which is absolutely brilliant too. But let us know, which one would you choose? Nonetheless, we hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining us out here in Barcelona. If you'd like to search for cars for sale, hit the link up there. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.